For 2 years, I had the privilege of listening to the stories of teachers at Park Street Elementary, a densely urban school where wonderful things were happening because of the teachers on this video. I entered the school at the invitation of the teachers to teach a class on action research. As part of the class, teachers started writing journals to capture stories about their teaching, and we had rich conversations about them. As I listened to these stories, my original plans and syllabus melted away. We taped our conversations as a group and started to identify emergent themes. The dialogue and sharing of the journal writings and other narrative accounts laid the groundwork for our book, entitled Success Stories from a Failing School, Teachers Living Under the Shadow of No Child Left Behind.
Abdul, a Somali second grader, came to Park Street speaking very few English words. In fact, on his first day at Park, all that he was reported to have said was motherfucker, shut up, and the N-word. Because we, his teachers, speak no Somali, we enlisted the help of one of our English-speaking Somali students. We had Ahmed tell Abdul that such words were bad words, and he was not to use them in school. Did he understand you, Ahmed, we asked? Abdul's head nodded up and down in response to Ahmed's question. As a result, the second day of school at Park was not a verbal day, but a physical day. Within the 3 short hours of the morning and the 30-minute recess, he hit, pushed, and pinched at least 20 students from our classroom alone. This time, Abdul went to the principal. Now, Mr. Smith doesn't speak Somali either, but you can tell he is angry at you without a translator. Abdul came back from the office in a chastened mood. On the third day, I realized that all we had succeeded in doing was shutting this young student down verbally. This led to a physical outlet of all of his frustration. We had to be more proactive and find more appropriate ways for Abdul to express himself. So when Abdul came into the room in the morning, I greeted him at the door with a cheerful good morning and required that he greet me back. Those are nice words, I told him. When I passed out the chocolate chip cookies that were part of the morning writing prompt, what happens to a chocolate chip cookie when you eat it? How does it change? He had to ask for the cookie with a please and a thank you. Those are nice words, I told him. The real breakthrough for Abdul came that afternoon when we continued the class discussion of big and small changes, known to the scientists among us as physical and chemical changes. One of the changes I showed the class was the change that occurs when you pop a balloon. I put the filled balloon on the ground and stomped on it to pop it. As it popped, I happened to look at Abdul's face. He had a huge grin on it. What was running through his mind, I wondered? There's that crazy teacher who wants me to use nice words, stomping on a balloon and popping it. Because of Abdul's delighted response to the balloon, the next morning I gave him an index card and asked him to draw the balloon popping. When I came to his seat about 10 minutes later, he had drawn a big blue balloon in the middle of the card and smaller pictures surrounding the balloon. After delightedly recognizing the balloon and labeling it with the words "the balloon," I found that he had also drawn the rabbit, the cat, the teacher, and himself. I wrote the words to label each of his pictures and encouraged him to read them back to me. He smiled and read the words for me. Abdul doesn't say motherfucker much anymore.
Melinda alert! Melinda alert! The other children yell when they see her coming. They part like the Red Sea, only the walls are uneven. 15 kids on one side of the carpet and Melinda on the other. Only my glare stops another girl from holding her nose and fanning the air Melinda has just passed through. Melinda is a kind, affectionate child. She is also chubby, inadequately dressed, unwashed and poorly groomed. In class, she inhabits her own secret world, deep in her own thoughts, nibbling pieces of her worksheets, hoarding erasers in corners of her body, and generally tuning out the disdain of her peers and all teacher talk. I picture myself in a Peanuts cartoon. I'm sure Melinda hears only wah, wah, wah when I speak. Officially, she is labeled both SLD and ESL. Yet, when I get out markers or crayons, Melinda springs to life. She portrays her world in amazing detail and vibrant colors. I glimpse the imagination and intelligence that is usually hidden. One day, she also demonstrated her superior sculpting ability. We had just finished reading a story about a little girl who built a mountain from sand on the seashore. Juxtaposed with the pictures and text was the story of how mountains rise from the earth and change over time. We had created a timeline of the latter story using pictures the children had drawn. Reluctant to inflict a script activity on the students and determined to have some fun, I scanned the teacher's guide to the reading anthology for alternatives. Take some clay, it suggested. Bring in twigs and rocks. Let the students design their own mountains. That evening, I collected twigs, leaves, little plants, and various sizes of pebbles. I had a stash of modeling clay that I had never used. When I told the kids what I expected of them, they could hardly believe the good news. They were allowed to smash, squish, and slap together the different colors of clay until they had a mountain shape. They could stick things in it. No pattern, no directions, no way to go wrong. And Melinda's went so right. She not only made a mountain, a tall, pointy mountain with little bluffs and crags, she put a volcano in the top of her mountain. It was almost time for recess when one of the other kids noticed it. The bell rang, but few left. Most of the children were waiting in line for Melinda to make a volcano in their own mountain. Many things made me happy this year. We had some sweet successes, but nothing made me happier than seeing Melinda at the center of that admiring crowd, grinning from ear to ear as she adeptly shaped those volcanoes for her classmates.